Hey, welcome back to What's Up Wednesday. Well, today we're in our new studio. Man, we do have new camera equipment and microphone equipment. So let us know how the quality is. I ran several tests. Some of them were not so good. This one seems to be the correct settings that we can find that makes the videos look good and actually makes my voice and lips and everything all move at the right speed. So that's you'll have to ask Kathy about it if you see her. That was kind of comical on the first one. I thought I had a really good video, and then it got uploaded, and we went to view it on YouTube in private mode, and it was a train wreck. So anyway, today's video is about towing and weight distribution. I know that everybody's beat this one to death, and nobody likes talking about it, but for the people that need it and the newbies that are coming along, this video really is intended more toward the new people getting into it, and then people maybe that just can't figure out why their rig is not towing properly. And I'm guilty, just like the rest of them that can't figure it out. Took me several months when I started to figure out why my rig towed so bad. I thought it was just that I couldn't drive after I hooked to a trailer, but turns out that wasn't it at all. All right, so to get right into it, I say get right into it. We've just been talking for forever here about nothing, but the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you get your truck and take it to a parking lot somewhere that you know is level. Take a big 3 foot, 5 foot, however big a level you got. Don't take one of the really small 6-inch levels. That is not going to help you. You need a big, long level. Set it in the parking lot. Make sure it's level. Get your truck set up to it. And then take you a tape measure and measure from the top of the front wheel to the bottom of the front fender. And get you a measurement. Write these down. Go to the back of your truck. Get the same measurement. Top of the tire, bottom of the fender. Write it down. Okay, that is your starting point. Most trucks are going to be raked toward the front, and by raked, I mean they sit like this, like the front's down and the back's up. That way, when you put the weight on them, they actually level out. They're made that way from the factory. They have a cargo capacity, and that cargo capacity is built into that. So get familiar with how much cargo capacity you have in your truck. Or your car if you're pulling something with a car. You need to know what your cargo capacity is. It's super important. We'll get into that a little bit later. Okay. Now do the same thing with your trailer. Take your trailer out in the parking lot, unhook from it, get it level, and then go do the same thing. Take your pad and your pen and you go out there and measure from the front to a known spot on the trailer to the ground. Go to the back. Measure from a known spot on the trailer to the ground. Now you want to get it to so when you have the level setting inside the trailer, don't set it on the tongue. That's not always a good way to get level. Go set it inside the trailer in the floor at about midways. And then adjust until you get that level correct. Once you get that correct, go out and measure again and see how far off you were. Now you can just go get the level on the inside correct first and then see what your measurements were. I find it interesting to see if I can see how level I can get the trailer and then go inside and see how close I got. I got to tell you, sometimes it's optical illusion, and that's why I'm telling you to do it this way. Go inside and put the level in there after you measure first, and then you're going to see how far off you really were when you were trying to eyeball it. That was my problem. I kept trying to eyeball my rig, and apparently I got a crooked eye or something. I don't know, but apparently I'm not the only one. I see people all the time pulling them that are way, way off, and there's no way they thought that looked right. But level it that way. Once you've got your trailer level and you've got your measurements and you have your truck measurements, couple the two back together. Now here's where you're going to want to start taking your measurements and figure out how much sag did that put in your truck when you put the weight on the tongue, or if it's a fifth wheel when you put it in the bed of it, or if it's a pin or whatever it is, however you're hooking to your truck or your tow vehicle. see how much it sagged. Go back and measure with a tape measure and do the front wheel to the fender, the back wheel to the fender, and see how much it changed. You're probably going to find that the front end of your truck or your car came up just a little bit, and you're going to find that the back end went down. When that happens, you are taking weight off the front end of your tow vehicle. Easy for me to say. That's not what you want, because when you're taking weight off the front end of your tow vehicle, if it's wet or slippery or got a little bit of snow on the ground or even gravel, you're taking your ability away to be able to steer. What's going to happen is you're not going to have the braking, or you're not going to have the steering, because the front end's going to be light and try to slide with you in certain occasions. Now, you may get away with it on a nice dry road on a straightaway and you're not having to brake or anything. You can get away with it. I will tell you, it doesn't drive near as good that way either. When you have the front end loaded correctly, that's when they drive better. So it'll just work better for you all the way around. All right. Once you got that measured, go back and measure your trailer and see if you're getting the same thing, because the front of your trailer, if the back of your truck is low, the front of the trailer should be low. Just makes sense. Both of them should have went down. If it didn't, you got a whole different problem. I don't know how to help you. Anyway, see what the front is and then see what the back is. That's going to tell you how far out of level you are. Now, take your jack on your whatever rig you have, however you jack it up. If it's a fifth wheel, you're going to have legs on it. If it's a tongue jack on a towable, pullable, however you do it. Anyway, use it and pull your trailer back up level. Again, put the level in the trailer and then jack it up until it's level. Now you're going to have a good spot to know how much of a difference it was from where you were, what measurement, to what measurement you are now. Because now take your measurement. If it's 2 inches, then it's going to be easy. You're going to go back up to your hitch and you're going to move the ball location or whatever connection you have. You're going to move that 2 inches to take that back up to get your ride level right. Now, you may not be able to get it exactly right, and that's fine. Just get it close. You always want to lean toward having the front down just a little bit versus up. You will get tail wag if the front of the trailer tongue, or again, whatever your connection is, if it's up, you'll get tail wag. You'll get the sway. You always want to make sure that it's level or just down just a little bit, and it'll take that out of it. There's a whole lot of physics there, and there's a whole lot of YouTube videos you can go watch about why that happens. Just take my word for it, that happens. Okay, so once you got that, try to get your hitch close. Then you're going to want to do what they call weight distribution hitches. So if you have bought the weight distribution hitch, it had the ability to adjust the ball up and down on it. If you buy fifth wheel hitches, again, it's in the pin box and other places. Again, I don't want to go off down a rabbit hole here, but anyway, you will have some adjustments. But if it is a bumper pull, get you a weight distribution hitch, and that's really what we're talking about in this video, more so than fifth wheels. Fifth wheels pull awesome. I don't care what you do really to those. They just pull good. But again, you don't want the nose of them really high either. It does affect the way they pull. But with it being right over the rear end of the truck, sway is really not an issue with those. Bumper pulls is a problem. So get your weight distribution hitch. We started off with a Reese, which is a lower end hitch, but they're very good. Ours did well for the first year we pulled it. And I just got to where I felt like I wanted something that felt like it was a little more solid, hooked up kind of like a train. And we started experimenting with our other hitches, and everybody kept telling me to get an Anderson. And I ended up with an Anderson. Now, they are a little pricey, but I will tell you this, safety is not an issue as far as price for me. My safety's first. So we bought the Anderson, and I'm telling you, it's hooked like a train now. I feel zero sway ever in it. You do get the push-pull still from tractor trailers going by, or if you're passing one of them, you'll get that slight push-pull. But it's not like it used to be where it felt like it was going to drag me into one of them or push me off the road. It is a lot more stable. Now, we went from a 3/4 pickup truck, which was a Ford diesel 3/4 ton, and I just never really got comfortable with that because it was single wheel, and it just felt like it was trying to push and pull me too hard. And the weight of my trailer, I think, was a big factor in that. I think I was getting pretty close to the 3/4 limit. So everybody kept telling me I need to move to a 1-ton, and I did. And when I went to a dual wheel and the extra cargo capacity, man, it was a game changer. It's a day and night. So you may not have the ability to do that. You may not need to do that. Depends on what you're pulling. But with my weight and the length and stuff, the 1-ton, it just made a big difference for me. Now, the 3/4 would have been fine had I not started trying to haul a gold wing that weighed 900 pounds. And although it doesn't change the way that it pulls as far as sway and stuff, but it did affect the way that it wanted to pull a hill or going off the other side of that hill. You could tell that extra 900 pounds is back there. I can't tell it now, but it's a lot bigger truck, a lot bigger engine, a lot bigger brakes, and then something else you ought to consider too, if you're really going to go traveling a whole lot and you have a big trailer, you need to make sure you got exhaust brakes or jake brake or something on your truck, especially if you get in the mountains. And that was another reason why we changed it to a 1-ton. The 3/4 did not have it, and I had a couple of times in Georgia where the brakes got pretty hot. I don't have that issue anymore. The one I have now has an exhaust brake, and I rarely ever touch the brakes going down the hill when I'm towing. Anyway, I am going down the rabbit hole with that one. So once you got all that set up, you shouldn't have any problem at all pulling your trailer. Speed is another thing though. So I try to typically stay between 60 and 65. My truck gets its best fuel mileage somewhere around 63, and we've went thousands of miles, and I've tried it at different speeds. And if I set my cruise on 63, I can get 11 to 12 miles to the gallon. If I creep it up to 65 or 66, I will start getting around 9 to 10. Now that's a huge difference for 2 or 3 miles an hour. So I'm not in that big a hurry anyway. I mean, I'm on vacation. I'm not in a hurry. So I stick somewhere between 60 and 63. And typically I just try to set it on 63. It does really good there. It pulls good. It just feels right there. So you'll find the happy spot on yours too. I got some funny videos. I mean, not videos. I got some funny pictures I'll put on here to share with you guys of stuff I took off the internet that just made me chuckle a little bit. People that was, some of these had to be staged. They can't be that stupid. But they were just funny. And but the pictures takes me to the next subject, and that is, just because you can pull it doesn't mean you should pull it. And the pictures ought to be worth 1,000 words on this one. But going back to truck size, I did have to move truck size. So if you're pulling a camper with, let's say an F-150, a half-ton truck, and your payload capacity says you can do it, but the trailer is 28 to 30 feet long, you probably shouldn't do it. And the reason I say that is you go under these overpasses and come out on the other side, especially out west, and you catch a big side wind, a side load on it. These things are big wind sails. And I've seen people actually get blown off the road when they come out from under one of these just because they weren't expecting it, and they didn't have a big enough truck for the big wind sail they were hauling behind it. So keep that in mind. If you're in the South, down in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, somewhere, you're probably not going to have the wind issues. But you get out west, it gets pretty tough. In fact, they have signs out there warning about crosswinds coming under them. So just keep that in mind. Colorado is a really bad place for wind too. So always make sure that your cargo capacity is way more than what you're trying to pull, is what I'm telling you. With mine, my tongue weight's 1,400 pounds. And when I had my trailer built, I had to move the axles back 1 foot. If you notice on tractor trailers, the wheels are all the way at the back most of the time, just because they pull good that way. You don't have any extra weight hanging off the back of the axles to be trying to throw you around and wag the dog there. But I had my move back 1 foot. It does make a difference. The reason I did it though was for other reasons. Like I got my water on one side and my lithium batteries on the other side sitting right on top of the axles. But I needed the axles back that far for my floor plan to work out right. I also hauled my Goldwing in there. It's 900 pounds. It's sitting right on top of the axles. So it doesn't really affect my tongue weight any. But I moved them on purpose. But anyway, that's neither here nor there for you guys. But that's why it's important to have your weight distribution correct. So I knew that up front. Now, traveling, whether we got 1 gallon of milk or 10 gallons of milk in the fridge, and I joke about that. I don't really have 10 gallons of milk, people. But it will change your tongue weight. But I know that mine's 1,400 pounds loaded, ready to go. It's lighter than that when it's sitting in the driveway and we're at home. But 1,400 pounds roughly when we're ready to go. Now that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about, and that is cat scales. If you're not familiar with cat scales, just about every truck stop in America has a set of them. And you'll see the big trucks around there weighing, and what they're doing is you see the scale houses they have to go through. Well, they get on the cat scales and make sure they're legal first, that they're not hauling too much on each axle before they go through the scale houses, because they'll get fined, because that's what tears up a lot of our roads is overweight and wrong weight distribution on these trucks and stuff. Now, I have my opinions about all that. I think they ought to build the roads a little better and you wouldn't have that problem maybe, but that's for you, Louisiana. But anyway, going back to the cat scales, go find you a set of cat scales and pull up on it. And it has pads on it. I'll put you a couple of pictures on here, but it has pads on it. So get your back axles and try to straddle a front and back pad, and that way it'll weigh your front axle and your back axle, and then you'll have your tow vehicle on there, and you should be able to get them spread across another 2 pads. There'll be 4 pads on one of these things. So that'll give you your weights on your total rig and what the axles weigh as it sits hooked up. Then what you want to do is you want to pull back and then get your trailer off to one side of these scales. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to do this or not, but I did it. It was a good way to get a 4-corner weight on my trailer, and that was really what I wanted, and an independent tongue weight. So back up and then pull over to one side, left or right side first. You're going to do both sides. And then get 2 of the wheels on your trailer on those separate pads, and then make sure that your tongue jack is on another pad. Now, it's going to depend on the length of your trailer whether or not you can pull this off. I was able to pull it off and got independent wheel weights. Now, you can do this by going to the end of the scales. I did it in the middle. Mine just worked out, so I was lucky. You can try it, see if it works out for you. But I got a left front and rear, and then I pulled over to the other side, and I got a right front and rear on my trailer. So I weighed all 4 wheels and was able to tell with the trailer on there and the tongue jack itself on a separate pad with the full trailer, 4 wheels on the scales, and I got me an accurate tongue weight. So play with the scales and you can figure out how to get all your weights. I did, and they do it. You pay a certain fee the first time that you weigh, and then they do what they call a reweigh, and a reweigh costs, I don't know, it's a few dollars more, but you get to weigh again. You can even weigh a third time if you want to. I think I weighed, I don't know, 3 or 4, maybe 5 times before I got done. Keep in mind too, now these are for commercial vehicles. We use them, but don't get in the way of a truck that's trying to get in there and get his load and get it weighed and get out of there. These guys are on a clock, literally on a clock. They get so many hours to drive a day, so don't be in there messing around for 20, 30 minutes and keep the guy from being able to weigh. I sat at the truck stop the day I did it and watched a few trucks come and go. I sat there probably another 10 minutes and nobody come around, so I jumped up on the scale. Luckily, it took me about 20 minutes, and I never had anybody even look like they wanted to get on the scale. So I'm always real mindful of that. These guys are out there driving for a living. That's how they make their money. Even in the fuel bays, we use the fuel bays because we get the big discount. You know, a lot of you guys know. If you don't, look into it. Man, you can save 20 cents. I've saved as much as 60 cents a gallon going through there with the EFS cards and Open Roads cards, and you guys check into that. But again, I always try to find a time if I can. Sometimes you just can't, it's so busy everywhere, but I try to find a time during the day, and typically midday, early afternoons. You can find the fuel islands usually are not quite as busy as they are early in the mornings and the evenings. That's just been my experience. You guys might find something different, but if I pull in there, I try to get my fuel and get right on out of there. It doesn't take long with those to put fuel in my truck. Usually I'm waiting on the guy in front of me to get out of the way so I can get out of the other guy's way. But just be mindful, these guys are professional drivers. It's what they do for a living. I try not to get in their way. And they're always curious about our trailer anyway, since it's a home-built cargo conversion. They're always really interested in how I did it, and with all the solar I have on there. If you haven't seen my solar setup, look, I think it was the last video I just did, or video before last. I told how I did my whole solar, and it runs 100% full time on solar. I never plug it up really unless I'm in a campground and just think that I might have a couple of bad days of rain, no sunlight, and that kind of stuff. But other than that, it runs all the time. Air conditioning in the fridge is running going down the road, or the heater, depending on what time of year it is. Anyway, I want to keep talking and holding you guys up. I just thought it was important to talk about weight distribution, and I just see so many of them going down the roads here lately, and they're just a wreck looking for a place to happen. We saw one on our last trip, and man, I thought the guy was going to lose it for sure. He got to swaying a little bit, and I guess maybe they were smart enough to figure out to hit the trailer brakes to straighten. I don't know how they got it straightened up, but they did. But I see it all the time with them just, shaking around just a little bit, and they scare me to death. And then a lot of these guys are driving way, way too fast. I'll be running along at 63 and have people go by me like I'm sitting on blocks. I mean, they got to be running 75, 80 pulling these things. And then they wonder why they're sitting on the side of the roads with the tires blown off of them and all the crazy things that happen to them. Now, that can happen to you at 63 also, but your chances are a whole lot better. Anyway, we'll talk about something else later. I hope maybe this has helped somebody. If I'm wrong, comment below. Tell me where I'm wrong. But I've been wrong before. But I can just tell you from my personal experience, this is what I've found, and this is what works great for me. And I know it works for some other people that we travel around with. So take it for what it is, but get your good weight distribution set up. You'll be so surprised at how much that changes for you. And then I'm getting ready to do a video on airbags. We airbagged the truck a few months ago now, and man, that was a game changer. I mean, that was a big game changer. I put it off and fought it for almost 2 years. Then everybody kept telling me that I was crazy for not doing it. Now, that's another good way to be able to change your ride height on the fly. But I'll get into all that in the next video about how well it works and why it works, and all the benefits. Now, there are some cons, like the $2,300 that I spent to have it installed. But first trip out, we hit the first 2 bridges, and Kathy looked at me and says, I know that was expensive, but I think it was well worth it. So, when your wife's sitting over there telling you how much she could tell the difference, it's a big difference. And stuff in the fridge don't fly out anymore either when you open the door. So even the trailer is getting a better ride. Anyway, we'll talk about all that in another video. All right, well, thanks for hanging in there with me. I know I just kind of rambled on like I usually do. Hope you guys like the look of the new studio. We still got some more things we're going to do. Still got a few more pieces of equipment we want to buy to try to make things better. I want to be able to start doing picture-in-a-picture stuff. That takes a separate piece of equipment to do that. So anyway, you guys keep hanging in there with us. Make sure you still subscribe to us. We've had a few that's been subscribed lately. It's happening to everybody. So just check. Give us the thumbs up. You really want to help us and keep us going, and that's what we need. Give us a thumbs up and share it with everybody. Share it with your friends. It doesn't cost anything. If you got an extra email address, go subscribe again. we don't care how we get them. We just want to get more of them. We passed the 1,000 mark. We're shooting for the 2,000. You know what happens when we get there? We'll shoot for 4. So keep doubling it up. We appreciate it, all of you. So I guess I'm going to get out of here. I've talked long enough. I'm tired of listening to myself talk, so I know you're tired of hearing me. So we always say, make each day count 365 and continue the journey. You guys get out there and get out and see the U.S., man. I hear all my friends talking all the time about, I'm going to go to this country and that country, and they're going to do this and that. Good Lord, man, you live in America. Go explore some of it. If you haven't been from one side to the other, you have missed out. Get out there and explore it. We've been all over it on motorcycles. We have been married 40 years, and we carried our kids on the back of motorcycles all over this great nation, even up into the lower part of Canada. I don't know where you find anything more beautiful than this. We've been to Bermuda and some other places that they're pretty now. I mean, they're beautiful, but you get up in the Northwest, which is my favorite. Some of you disagree and say it's on the East Coast. It's beautiful too. But you get up in the Northwest, up around Montana. I know why they call it Big Sky, because it is so blue, and you can't describe it without going there, but you feel like you can just reach up and touch it. But again, I'm just telling you, it's beautiful. You ain't got to leave our country to go see something beautiful. So get out there and explore some, continue the journey, and we'll see you down the road a little ways. All right, bye-bye.